Every advanced microchip on Earth, the one inside your phone, the ones training every major AI model, the ones inside every F-35 fighter jet, is etched by a machine built by a single company in a single town in the southern Netherlands. The company is called ASML. The town is Veldhoven. The machine is a $400 million device, the size of a city bus, made of 100,000 parts sourced from 5,000 suppliers, and it ships in 40 freight containers on 4 Boeing 747s. ASML is the only company on Earth that knows how to build one. Not the best at it, the only one. This is the story of how an underdog Dutch spin-off with 31 employees and a leaky roof spent 40 years and $9 billion to build the most complex machine in human history, and accidentally became the keystone of modern civilization. It's 1984, in a wooden shed bolted onto the side of a Philips research building in Veldhoven. 31 engineers are trying to build a machine to compete with the Japanese. The shed leaks when it rains. The roof has to be patched with plastic sheeting to keep water off the prototypes. Philips, the Dutch electronics giant, has spun out its struggling chip machine division into a joint venture with a small company called ASM International. Nobody at Philips actually wants this project. It's a money pit. The competition is brutal. Nikon and Canon together control more than 90% of the global lithography market, and they're being subsidized by the Japanese government. ASML, the new spin-off, has 6 months of cash and a single product nobody is buying. If you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. We publish builds like this every week. The official prediction inside Philips is simple. The Dutch experiment will be dead within 3 years. Through the late 1980s and into the 1990s, ASML loses money every quarter. Philips writes off the investment twice. In 1995, the company is finally spun off as a separate stock, partly because Philips can't take any more losses. The new ASML survives because of one decision. Instead of trying to beat Nikon and Canon at their own game, the Dutch engineers ask a different question. What if you could expose 2 wafers at once, on a single machine, with 2 independent stages moving in perfect synchronization? It sounds simple. The mechanical engineering is brutal. The stages have to move at high speed and stop with nanometer precision, while a second stage runs a parallel exposure with 0 interference. The product they build is called TwinScan. It ships in 2001. Within 3 years, ASML overtakes Nikon. By 2007, the Dutch company has a clean majority of the global market. The leaky shed is gone. The engineers stay. But success creates a new problem. For decades, the entire chip industry has used the same trick to shrink transistors. Shine light through a stencil, project a tiny version of the pattern onto a silicon wafer coated in photoresist, etch the pattern in, repeat. The smaller the wavelength of the light, the smaller the features you can print. By the early 2000s, the industry has reached the deepest ultraviolet light that ordinary lenses can handle, 193 nanometers. After that, the physics stops cooperating. Every conventional path forward fails. Engineers extend the life of 193 nanometer light with tricks: water immersion, multiple patterning, exotic photoresists. Each trick adds cost, complexity, and yield problems. Moore's law, the doubling of transistors every 2 years that has defined 6 decades of computing, is running out of room. Without a new light source, the chip industry stops scaling. The phones, the laptops, the entire future of AI, all of it hits a wall before it ever arrives. There is one wavelength that could save Moore's law. It is called extreme ultraviolet, or EUV. The wavelength is 13.5 nanometers, roughly 14 times shorter than the light the industry is currently using. At this wavelength, you can print transistors so small that a single human red blood cell would tower over them like a skyscraper over a coin. There is just one problem. Every physicist who looks at EUV says the same thing. You cannot do this. EUV light is absorbed by almost everything. It is absorbed by air, by glass, by water, by your own skin. You cannot use lenses because lenses are made of glass and glass swallows EUV light entirely. You have to use mirrors, but every mirror absorbs some of the light too. No natural light source on Earth produces EUV brightly enough to expose a wafer in seconds rather than days. To build an EUV machine, you don't just need new engineering, you need to bend physics. In 1997, ASML joins a consortium with Intel, Motorola, and 3 United States national laboratories: Sandia, Livermore, and Berkeley. The goal is to develop EUV by the early 2000s. Every milestone slips. By 2006, The program is years behind schedule. By 2010, it is more than a decade late. Inside ASML, executives privately admit they might never ship a single machine. Outside the company, customers stop believing the promised dates. Internal estimates of total program cost climb past $2 billion. Then past 5, then past 9. Engineers describe the work as solving one impossible problem only to uncover 3 more behind it. The mirror coatings flake. The light source delivers a fraction of the required brightness. The contamination control fails. Talented engineers leave. Newspapers in the Netherlands begin asking whether the Dutch champion is quietly drowning. Through all of it, the ASML board makes the same decision every quarter. Keep going. There is no plan B. The breakthrough on the light source comes from a small American company called Cymer, based in San Diego. Their solution is so unlikely it sounds invented. Inside a vacuum chamber, a tiny nozzle fires microscopic droplets of molten tin about 30 micrometers across, smaller than a human hair, at 50,000 droplets every second. Each droplet flies through the chamber and is hit by a precisely timed laser pulse from a high-power carbon dioxide laser. The first pulse flattens the droplet into a pancake. The second pulse, microseconds later, hits the pancake with so much energy that the tin instantly vaporizes into a plasma hotter than the surface of the sun. That plasma emits exactly the wavelength they need, 13.5 nanometers of extreme ultraviolet light, 50,000 times a second, every second, for years on end. Without a single missed droplet, this is how you bend physics. You build a machine that throws sun-hot lightning at flying metal raindrops. The other impossible problem is the mirrors. EUV light cannot bend through lenses, so the entire optical system has to be built from mirrors. And any defect on a mirror's surface will scatter the precious light that took so much to make. The Dutch turned to a German partner. Carl Zeiss SMT, in the small town of Oberkochen, takes on the optics. Zeiss spends more than a decade perfecting a mirror unlike anything ever built. The mirrors are coated with 40 alternating layers of molybdenum and silicon, each layer only a few atoms thick, deposited with picometer accuracy. The finished mirror is the flattest object ever made by human hands. The deviations across its surface are smaller than 50 picometers, half the diameter of a single atom. To picture this, imagine the entire country of Germany polished perfectly flat. On a Zeiss EUV mirror, scaled to that size, the tallest bump would be smaller than a single human hair. By 2012, ASML is staring at a different kind of risk. The light source, that absurd dance of tin droplets and CO2 lasers, is being supplied by Cymer, a separate company 3,000 miles away in California. Cymer is brilliant, but it is also small, public, and constantly running short of cash for the research it needs to keep up. If Cymer fails, the entire EUV program fails with it. ASML's leadership makes a hard decision. They buy Cymer outright for $2.5 billion. It is the largest acquisition in ASML's history. Inside the company, it is controversial. Cymer's culture is American, loose, and freewheeling. ASML's is Dutch, structured and methodical. Engineers from the two sides barely understand each other in meetings. But the strategic logic is brutal and correct. To control the future of lithography, ASML has to control the light itself. After the deal closes, the program quietly accelerates. In the same year, ASML asks its 3 biggest customers for something extraordinary. Intel, Samsung, and TSMC are told that EUV will cost more to finish than ASML alone can afford. The Dutch company proposes a deal. The customers will invest directly in ASML, both equity stakes and dedicated research funding, to keep the program alive. The total commitment lands around $5.2 billion. The customers say yes. Intel takes a 15% stake. TSMC takes 5%. Samsung takes 3%. 3 direct competitors are now co-owners of their own most important supplier. Inside the chip industry, the deal is unprecedented. It is the clearest possible signal that without ASML's machine, the entire global semiconductor roadmap collapses. From that moment forward, ASML is not just a vendor. It is the shared infrastructure of the chip world. Everyone who matters has put their balance sheet behind it. In 2017, the first production EUV systems begin shipping to TSMC in Taiwan and Samsung in South Korea. Each machine weighs 180 tons. Each one contains more than 100,000 individual parts. To deliver a single unit, ASML disassembles it into 40 freight containers loaded onto 4 Boeing 747 cargo planes, plus 20 trucks. Reassembly in the customer's fab takes months. Each machine sells for roughly $150 million. TSMC takes the first one and uses it to produce the 7-nanometer chips that go into the iPhone X. The technology that took 20 years and $9 billion to invent has finally arrived in customers' hands. Inside ASML, engineers cry at the shipping ceremony. Some have spent their entire careers, 25 years, 30 years, chasing this single moment. The leaky shed in Veldhoven is now the most strategically important factory in the world. By the early 2020s, ASML has achieved something almost unheard of in modern industry. 100% market share in EUV lithography. Not the largest player, the only player. Nikon and Canon, once the kings of chip-making equipment, never enter the EUV market. The engineering bet is too late, the patents too dense, the capital required too enormous. Without ASML, no company on Earth can fabricate a chip below 7 nanometers. That means no leading-edge phone processor, no advanced GPU for AI training, no modern radar system. The Dutch company that nobody at Philips wanted to keep, the spin-off with the leaky roof, has become the sole producer of an irreplaceable input to every advanced economy. Inside semiconductor strategy rooms in Washington, Beijing, Brussels, Seoul, and Tokyo, ASML stops being treated as a corporation. It starts being treated as critical infrastructure. In 2024, ASML ships the first machine of the next generation. It is called High-NA EUV. The acronym stands for High Numerical Aperture, which means the mirrors gather more of the precious EUV light and focus it more sharply onto the wafer. To make this work, Zeiss had to build an entirely new optical system, with anamorphic mirrors, larger than dinner plates, and aligned to a level of perfection beyond the previous generation. The machine is bigger than its predecessor, it is more complex, it is more expensive. A single High-NA EUV unit sells for around $380 million. Intel takes the first one. It is installed in a fab in Oregon and immediately becomes the most valuable single object in the building. With High-NA, chip features can shrink below 2 nanometers, into a regime where individual transistors are measured in handfuls of atoms. The wall, once again, has been moved. Step back for a moment and look at what was actually built. Every modern AI model is trained on processors etched by ASML machines. Every smartphone and every pocket on Earth runs on logic chips printed by ASML machines. Every modern fighter jet, every satellite, every cloud data center, every electric vehicle's brain, all of it traces back, through layers of supply chain, to a small fleet of devices manufactured in one town in the southern Netherlands. The keystone of the digital economy is not in Silicon Valley. It is not in Shenzhen. It is in Veldhoven, a town most people on Earth cannot find on a map. And the company that built that keystone did not start with a brilliant founder or a Stanford pedigree or a venture capital war chest. It started in a wooden shed bolted to the side of a research building, with 31 engineers, a leaky roof, and a problem nobody else wanted. 40 years. 31 engineers in a leaky shed. $9 billion in research costs. 20 years of slipped deadlines. A consortium of competing customers buying equity in their own supplier just to keep the program alive. Mirrors flatter than any object humans have ever made. Tin droplets vaporized 50,000 times a second by lasers hot enough to mimic the surface of a star. Every modern chip, every AI, every phone, every fighter jet, flowing from a single building in a single Dutch town. ASML did not disrupt the chip industry. They quietly built the thing that everyone else's industry now depends on. The machine that the rest of the world said was impossible. The keystone of modern civilization. Built from a wooden shed in Veldhoven. If you want to know how more impossible machines got built, subscribe. The next story is already in the works.